Manifestation is revealing your inner beliefs in your outside world. So how can you change your inner beliefs before you see any change in your outside world? I'm going to be explaining exactly how to do that in this video and giving you 3 different things to tap into so that you can understand exactly how to do it. Because the good news is your dream reality exists right now. Currently, in the quantum field, that version of you exists. The only thing standing in the way of you right now and actually having that experience is who you are being. And it's heavily wrapped up in what you believe. And remember, a belief is not objectively true. It's not a universal truth. It's come from your past experience. And you've taken that and you're continually applying it and you live through that filter. I'm going to show you some practical steps that you can take so that you can start tapping in to that ideal version of you now and believing it. And then you will see it. So let's get started. First thing that you can start to understand in terms of how you're going to believe it before you see it in your outside world is to understand perceptions. According to Dr. Bruce Lipton, we have 50 million bits of information coming into our subconscious awareness every single second. And it gets filtered out, it gets sorted, and the only things that come up to our conscious awareness, the thoughts that you have access to right now, are 40. So all of the other worlds of potential, your dream reality, your secure loving relationship, that emotionally available person, those are all filtered out through your perceptions. And your perceptions are created from your early on environment as well as your own unique set of experiences that you've had throughout your life. So you literally have your own unique lens of how you see the world. And we're all unique that way. So as you start to become aware of that lens, you can actually change that lens, which will give you access to situations and circumstances that are beyond your senses right now. As you start to become aware of that, you'll be able to shift what you have access to, which will make it so much easier to believe it and then start to see it. Because in that one, you're actually starting to see different potentials. You have to start to understand what meanings and what labels you're placing on situations. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to give you an example. Well, if you take a page from my book and it's about relationships early on in my life, anytime, maybe I started to date somebody or we weren't even dating yet, and I text, right? And we're texting back and forth, and this is exciting, this is wonderful, this is fun. And then all of a sudden, they didn't text back. And I started thinking, oh no. Going through, scrolling up, okay, what did I say something? Was that too much? Should I not have shared that? Okay, maybe I should have said more. Do they not like me? Oh gosh, just start to tailspin basically. So in that situation, that neutral thing that happened, which was somebody didn't reply to a text, that's actually a neutral situation. We place labels and we put meanings through our interpretation of our lens. And until we change our lenses, we'll keep seeing the same things, which will perpetuate our beliefs. So as you start to become aware of how you're seeing, it will automatically change what you have access to see. So in that situation where somebody's not texting, right, they're not calling back, and I was assuming, bring in Neville Goddard, law of assumption, I assumed, okay, maybe they don't like me, right? So I started to assume that they were abandoning me because I had a perceptional bias about abandonment. No matter what, I have to work really, really hard. It's always out of reach. I can't grasp it. I filtered out everything but situations that would show me abandonment. Another thing that I would feel in those situations is I'm not good enough, because if I was good enough, then they would text me back. So every single situation in where I assumed that there was a disruption in the connection, I always put the meaning that I had done something. It wasn't until years later, recently, in the recent couple of years, that I realized, oh, I have a choice to put whatever meaning and label on the situation. So for instance, now, somebody doesn't text me back. I don't assume it's about me unless they call and say, hey, we need to talk. And they tell me directly, and then maybe then you can resolve it. But I do not make an assumption about it being me. What I do is say, I don't know what's going on here. What story am I telling myself? Oh, I'm saying it's my fault. I don't know that to be true. I honestly do not know why. Maybe a family member is sick and they have to go and help the family out. Maybe they're really stressed at work and they have a lot more work in the week than they're used to. Maybe they're just really exhausted and they got some internal stuff going on and they need space and time. Maybe they drop their phone in a lake and they're in the process of getting a new one. I don't know. So I started to realize that I could change the meaning. I could change the interpretation and the label I was putting on situations, because it wasn't just happening. I was assuming that that's just how it was. So the biggest thing I can tell you in the first step and how you can believe it before you see it is start to look at what meanings and interpretations you're putting about yourself, because that's just perpetuating those beliefs. And so as you start to do this, I'm good enough, I am deserving, I am worthy. Shifting this simply by examining what meaning you're putting on it. The more you practice this, the more you start to dissolve the old belief, the more you start to have access to change the different filters that you're looking through. So you can actually start to use a new lens and start to see something new, which will actually lead you to disconfirming experiences, which will further help to dissolve those old beliefs and create space for new ones. At the end of it, it will help you and allow you to have access to more of those 50 million bits of information. What other kind of clues is the universe have just outside your awareness? Dr. Joe Dispenza would say this can also help change your electromagnetic signature. It's going to allow you to start having new thoughts. These thoughts are going to also have new feelings, because you won't feel devastated and rejected and abandoned. You'll start saying, oh, okay, hang on a second. I'm not sure. This is you staying with yourself more. So you're literally being a different person with the same situation happening. Thoughts that fire together wire together. And when thoughts don't fire together, they don't wire together. So the more and more you do this, the more this prunes apart and no longer becomes your reactionary experience. Now, the second thing you can do is literally start to construct that version of you, because if you're sitting where you currently are and you're like, man, if something outside of me changed, then it would change my beliefs and then I could actually experience what I want. And again, your beliefs are what is getting reflected back to you in your current life. So who is that ideal version of you? You can start to visualize, and it's not thinking of it, it's thinking from it. And if you don't know how in the world to do that, start looking at people who have done similar things as you, people that you really admire and you respect. Even if they're not in the same industry, or if they're not doing the same things, there's probably going to be some attributes that you'd want to emulate and start to embody. Spend time. It's like you're building that relationship with that future you. If you do not spend time to build a relationship, you don't have a relationship with that future you. So how do you know when you're being it? So as you start to visualize and literally live it in your body during that time, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's different segments throughout the day, but specifically also as you go to sleep, feeling that ideal version of you, believing it in your body. And according to Dr. Joe Dispenza's research, that sending out that electromagnetic signature, those thoughts and those feelings, is going to start to draw those experiences to you, not the experiences outside of you happening and then you're feeling different. These are incredibly powerful techniques that you can start to use to feel it, to practice. Remember, you're building a relationship. You're practicing being that new version of you little by little. The next thing you can do is start to meditate, which is essentially going to clear out that noise in your head and all that buildup of that current version of you, which you no longer want to repeat. This is how I think of meditation. So if this right here is your current thoughts, your stress and, you're being that stressed out version, the lack, I'm rejected, I don't have enough. Meditation is going to help you be aware of it and help you clean it out. And if you struggle with it and you're like, every time I go to meditate, I can't sit still, it's going to take practice. And the more you practice, the better you're going to be able to calm yourself and sit in stillness as you start to become aware of these thoughts and aware of those things. And okay, they're happening. I'm right here. I lost myself in train of thought. here I am again, coming back, bringing it back, bringing it back, bringing it back. Then your mind is going to control your body and not your body controlling your mind, which is a big Dr. Joe Dispenza thing right now. You know how to be that person, and those beliefs and your subconscious is actually your body. So you continually to magnetize those feelings, just perpetuate, because it's like your internal thermostat of the feelings throughout your body. If you're constantly stressed, your body's homeostasis is actually stressed, not because that's ideal, because it's familiar. So as you start to become more familiar and familiarize yourself with peace and calm and realizing that's how you keep yourself safe, then you can start to make the shifts. It's not just going to be like you sit down one day and you're like, oh, I have reached enlightenment. It's going to take practice. But the great news is you're practicing being the new version of you. The more and more you overcome that old version of you, the easier and more space you have for that new version. And then the last thing, to act now. Act now before there's any outside circumstances. You being it, so be, do, have. And again, usually the error when it comes to manifestation is, okay, I have it, I'll do it, and then I'll be it. That's not how it works. You got to be, think, and feel, and then move through the world that way. And then ultimately that will just reflect back to you. You're not chasing the have and then trying to use that to show you how to be. You are being it by constructing it. And then that the have part is just a natural effect of that process. And the last thing about being able to believe it before you see it is realize that you've got your desires and your blocks. Whatever it is, that ideal version that you can feel inside yourself that is real. You're like, oh, I want this so bad, but oh, these guys, limiting beliefs, creating those blocks, whatever those are, these were taught to you. These are not ways you naturally were born as a baby and you're like, you know what? I'm not good enough. Oh my gosh, you know what? I gotta earn my worth, my God. Oh, you know what? I am just not capable. No matter what I do, everyone leaves me. You were not born with those beliefs. You were only born with two fears, loud noises and the falling. So whatever it is, the limiting beliefs, right? These are the beliefs you're safe to have now because they were taught to you, shown to you in your early on environment. They were told to you, they were shown to you, whatever the situation for you, in an environment that didn't have the skills to meet your needs. This is not you to you. This is you through other people to you. So that would look like this. Your desires are all right here, right? It's you to you, what you want and need. But your limiting beliefs do this. They go over here, they bounce through this person, and then they come back. So yeah, they are blocking, they are limiting, they were very, very heavy. So what you got to understand and start to understand is, oh my gosh, a lot of these were formed from my little kid brain. I wasn't good at reasoning or deducing or understanding the complexities of human emotion and adulthood and all the stresses of the world. And I thought when I didn't get the need met from my adult caretaker that I was the problem because they know best, they're taking care of me, they're my only means of survival. It must be me. I'm not good enough. I'm going to be abandoned. I don't deserve to have my needs met, whatever the situation. As you start to realize, oh my God, that is not me to me. The only way I can get my desires is if I start to end this and realize, okay, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to stay here. And staying here is actually the way that you connect here. So the more and more you realize that your limiting beliefs right now are how you stayed safe, right? Oh, when I go out and I'm myself and I let my light shine. Oh God, I'm being too much. Oh, shine your light, shine your light. Don't make anybody else feel uncomfortable. Or when you went for connection, if the adult caretaker is like, I can't take this right now. Get away, you're too much. You're like, oh my God, I'm too much again. My needs are not important, whatever the situation. Realize that was not me to me. I was being myself. I was staying and asking for my needs to be met. And that person did not have the space. I was not one at fault. I was not asking for too much. The more and more you realize this, the more and more you can let them go, which will allow you to start seeing different opportunities and starting to have this internal shift reflected back to you in your outside world. Understanding how to change beliefs before you have any evidence to do so is such a pivotal way to take your power back. This next video right here is going to dive even deeper on how you can start to dismantle all those beliefs that are standing in the way of you and the desires that you want. I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you liked it and join this community if you haven't. I love y'all. I'll see you on the next one.